That's a schlong shot.
And so, but let's talk motocross. So it's here. Motocross is here. I've done some preview shows with Racer X, JT, and Weege, and everything else. Paula's the opening round. Paula's the near the end as well as schedule. Hangtown at the end.
Yeah,
that should be interesting. Which national are you looking forward to most, Daniel?
I know this sounds kind of cheap, but the first one. Yeah. I mean, I'm just fired up because both classes look really, really good. I mean, the 450 class, I listened to your preview shows. Just so many different storylines, kind of wondering about a lot of people. And I know Zach's coming on. I got questions for him. I'm just fingers crossed that he's going to be all right. But the 250 class, both classes, I'm just excited to see what happens because they're both deep. And I think Supercross was good. I felt like all three series were pretty fun.
Yep.
So we're kind of coming off of a good series, but I really like that they gave them a break. You know, for some reason,
3 weeks off.
Even for me, I feel like at the end of Supercross, I'm exhausted too. Just not with the whole sport, but just being like heavily involved. So having like a little bit more time gave me a chance to almost reset my interest. So I'm stoked. I hope that becomes a thing because I really think the riders need it. I even think the fans need it a little bit. They're fired up.
I agree. I mean, John, you were around back when we used to go Vegas, and then the next Sunday was Glen Helen, and you're like, as a mechanic, as a team. You're like, holy shit, these guys have been, they got to get ready for outdoors, and there's nothing like outdoors. So
for sure. Yeah, they need a break, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been talked about a lot, and like you mentioned, this is the longest break they've ever had.
Yep.
So it gives people a chance to get healthy, remotivated.
And I think, too, so we're going later in September, and the Des Nations is going to only be 2 weeks after the last National, so maybe that'll keep guys motivated,
Yep.
So
yep.
that's a positive.
I think there's some timing things that need to be worked out, and it looks like we're trending that way. And again, just that little bit of a reset, even for like Cooper Webb.
Yep.
When these guys, I think Tomac last year really felt the effects of the hangover, won that title, and then I think it took him a while to get woken up for the outdoors.
Yep.
So for Webb, I want to see him motivated this summer and not just coming off of a championship and being like, oh, I got to start over. So I feel like giving him the extra time makes him want to be more motivated.
I agree. And also, if you're looking at past Supercross champions that did have a bit of a hangover, wow. Webb's already got one. This is his second Supercross title. So now, like, he's one title short of the perfect winning everything we have to win in the sport. You got to think a guy like Cooper Webb will be like, I need this for the outdoors for my legacy, quote unquote, for my, my career. Like, I need to win everything, right, indoors and out, and he's missing one. So, you got to hope that's a motivation for him. But when you look at Tomac, Marvin, Roxon, Webb, Osborne, AC, and Sexton, that's 7 guys. So then it leaves Anderson and Craig and Plessinger and Barsha and Ferrandis. That's already 12 guys. Like, if Dylan Ferrandis goes 12-12 at the opening round, he's going to be so angry.
He'll be devastated.
Right.
And he might ride really well.
Every one of these guys I just listed figure they're going to be a top 5 guy. Mm-hmm. And there's just literally not enough spots. So to me, it's a stack field. It's going to be gnarly. But I don't see the 450 title coming. I see Eli, Marv, Roxon, Webb, Osborne, Adam, maybe Sexton taking this home. Do you agree?
I'm going to tighten that up a little bit, and here's why. I feel like I take the bait every year, especially in Supercross. I'm more involved where it's like, he could win it. He could win it. And what does it end up being at the end?
Yeah.
It's Webb, Roxon, Tomac.
4 or 5 guys that win
a race.
Win races,
but it ends up being, for me, those same 3 the last couple of years in a row. So as much as I'm in on a couple of those guys, like I think there's intrigue that they could.
Right.
When it's all said and done, halfway through this thing, it's going to be 2 or 3 guys I think that'll break away.
Always is.
And I think to me, it's Tomac, Roxon, and Webb. I think it'll end up being those 3 halfway through that they separate.
But Adam got second in the points last year. He made all 24 second in the points. So that was, how are you going to say he can't be in there or whatever? And Marv won a couple of motos last year, and he got caught fire there at the end of Supercross. So, I think he's straight up beat Eli Tomac when Eli Tomac was the baddest dude, right? Yep. Straight up has beat him. So how can you not put Marv in that group? Like, I know what you're saying, Daniel. I agree with you. We always talk about this and that, and then it ends up being a depleted field. But, man, you can make a case for Marv and AC to be right in there with Roxon, Webb, and Tomac.
And Osborne, of course. And then Sexton won the last round last year.
Right.
Ferrandis is a champion now. I mean, you can make the argument, but it always seems to end up being the 3.
Yeah.
And that's, again, Adam was great last year, and I think he's going to be great this summer. But just when it comes down to winning the actual title, we don't see guys really break from that little end of the group to the top very often. Zach did it last year. I think JT even said on the preview show he was kind of surprised by that. I was too. So I just feel like when you look at this field and all the depth, I want to take the bait that there's like 10 of these guys that could do it. But I just feel that once they kind of get in that pecking order, you know how the first 3 rounds, everyone's trying to figure out where they're at, and then they all do, and then they all kind of just settle there?
Yeah.
I just think that for reasons that I'm sure we'll get into, I think Roczen, Tomac, and Webb will eventually break from the field, and those will be the 3 at the end. That's just how I feel.
What do you think, John?
Well, I guess my question is, like with Tomac, you talk about him being a title contender, and he very well should be, right?
Yeah.
But, he's going to a new team, so is there going to be a bit of awkwardness within the Kawasaki team from round 1? I mean, he's leaving. So, they have to talk about giving new parts and all this and testing. Are they going to let him do that? Ultimately, the goal is to win, right? Kawasaki wants to win. But for him, like, he's going to a new team. Is he really going to be that motivated? I mean, his job, he's paid to be.
I feel like
it
because of the money. I mean, because you win a lot of money if you win championships and races.
But say he gets behind like he did in Supercross. How motivated is he going to be to really push?
I don't think there's any doubt after his double DNF at Loretta's too, he lacked a little bit of inspiration. I agree with that.
And I know you didn't mention they're not necessarily title contenders, but they can ride outdoors well. But Plessinger as well, and Anderson.
Oh, absolutely.
You got a couple guys early.
I just mentioned I don't think. Okay, I don't think Anderson, Plessinger, Craig, Barsha, Ferrandis can win the title.
Yeah.
I just don't see it. I don't see a path for those guys winning a championship.
Yeah.
That's why I put those guys in that second group, but they can certainly podium and that kind of stuff.
And mix it up like they did in Supercross.
Right, like they did in Supercross. But I can see the title coming to Marv, Tomac, Roczen, Webb, Osborne, Adam, and Sexton.
Like with Marv.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, pretty quiet year. Came on at the end, but outdoors, is he got one more year left? And renew? Is he going to retire?
He wants to resign. Yeah, he wants to resign. KTM wants to resign him. So it'll be AP, Webb, and Marv, I think, back over there.
But don't you feel like outdoors he's riding for a contract?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, a little bit.
Or maybe he's riding for more money. You know what I mean? Maybe it's one of those deals where he's got a spot there if he wants it, but maybe you come out in the first couple outdoors and your top 5, top 3, you grab a win or two, then you can go. Because I know, from what I understand, he hasn't signed his deal yet, right? Or has he?
I don't think so. No.
So for me, I don't know if Marv's riding for a ride as much as he's maybe riding to add some dollars onto a contract. That's just my guess.
I feel like, okay, so he got his ACL done. He missed all of Supercross last year, came back last summer, and won a couple of motos, at least one, I think 2. Kind of didn't have fitness in some spots, you know what I mean? And that's to be expected. He was kind of coming off that ACL. The guys all tell you it takes a year to feel stability in that knee. Yep. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously, look, James did it, came back in 4 months and got a perfect series. I'm not, most guys who get an ACL done, it takes them a little bit of time before they get back into it. Yeah. If Marv hadn't done what he did at the last 2 Salt Lakes, I would be less pumped on him going in the outdoors. You know what I mean? But now he had those 2 weeks of Salt Lake, 3 weeks off to work on his outdoor game. I feel like he could be a guy. I really do. I feel like him and Ferrandis, the other French guy, could be sleepers.
I think with Marvin too, you have to question motivation, and he was obviously very. And I don't question it with him. What I'm saying is, he was very motivated late in Supercross to get good results. It wasn't like, I'll just mail it in and then I'll try again in the outdoors. He really, really wanted to end Supercross strong. And for him to do that with a lot of other guys that were too. I mean, Plessinger was trying really hard. Ferrandis, Anderson, there was a pack of Sexton. All these riders were trying to end strong. Well, he was the best guy at the last 2 rounds other than Cooper Webb. They went 1-2, 2-1. Right. So Marvin ended on fire, and that tells me he's pretty motivated, and I think he carries that in. You talk about the hangover and a negative.
Yeah.
He's got the opposite. I think he comes in probably pretty fired up.
Yeah.
And then the question is just how does he settle in with this field because it is so deep.
I feel like he's an underdog as far as the guys that people are talking about. I think because Marv has straight up beat Eli Tomac outdoors. You know what I mean? So not too many guys on this list can say that when Eli was on it.
Right.
So that to me says Marv can do this. He can get that. If he can get that back, he's only a year and a half removed from that. You know what I mean? So, and then of course, like I said, Adam finished second overall in the series. He was right there to the end. He had a great race at Millville, caught fire near the end. So I think Adam is somebody. I did a podcast with him that'll be out this week, and I was saying, dude, maybe you're just an outdoor guy. Maybe you're just an outdoor guy. You're like Alessi. That's it. He didn't really like that.
Yeah.
Probably not.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because he did win it in 19 in the 250.
Yeah.
Then gets second as a rookie in the 450.
Yeah.
Last year's a rookie. Adam does silly things, right? He definitely sends it pretty hard. But he seems to get away with it a lot more in outdoor. It's like there's more room. It's something about outdoor. He can get away with that stuff a lot more. So he's obviously going to give it everything he's got.
Yeah.
Where I think in outdoor he can kind of get by on his style where Supercross still bites him.
Yeah.
And I think indoors he's going to have a mentality shift to fix what's going on indoors. Outdoors he doesn't really have to change anything. Just build off of last year. He's really close. So, yeah.
Absolutely. John.